track and field fans across the globe, supporters club members, the best track and field fans in the world. We love you. This is a special Thursday edition of the Friday 15 bonus podcast where we recap the Oslo show. New supporters club members, we apologize. When we started the second bonus podcast, we used to say, how can we possibly talk for more than 15 minutes? Now we normally give you hour and a half. We could talk all day about track and field, but today I'm on a tight deadline. I'm out of here in 15 minutes. Maybe Weldon will keep going, but what an Oslo Diamond lead. Everything I wanted and more. We came in wanting to see the 1500 at the end, and it delivered. Jakob Ingebrigtsen, was he going to win? Was he going to lose? Everyone was teed up right behind him. In the end, he does win. He sets a new personal best, and it's only been minutes, but I don't even think most people realize it. Behind him, Yared Nuguse sets an American record. But before that, we had one of the greatest 5,000s in histories. They're still telling me now that Yomif Kajelcha won it in 12:41. I thought it was Jacob Kaplimo. They're the fifth and sixth fastest men in history. That might have been the greatest 5,000 race in history. We've never had a race that fast, that close. What else happened in this meet? Femke Bol remained undefeated. Wade Van Niekerk returned to the Diamond League for the first time in 6 years. Got the win in 44:38. Beatrice Chibet, how good was she? 8:25:01 in the women's 3,000. Aaron Knight, he keeps getting better and better. 1977. And how about that women's mile? We have a 17-year-old from Ethiopia who got the win, but that was a great run that was Burke Halom. Corey McGee runs the race of her life, 4:18:11. Nikki Heltz, 4:18. Great run for them. Weldon, I've got limited time. Let's start with the mile. What were your thoughts on it?
Karsten Warholm, Diamond League record. There's already a comment here. Is this the greatest June in track and field history? We might have to come back later tonight for a bonus podcast. Jonathan Galt is out today. Like maybe we can get the crew back together tonight because this is crazy. What did I think about the mile? Man, I guess with 400, 300, 200 to go, I'm like, wow, they're teed up right behind him, man. If he could get beat in this thing, and he just crushed him at the end. I mean, Robert, Josh Kerr almost broke 3:30, and he finished in 9th place.
3:30 like right? Basically. What a race.
The results seem to be broken here. The results website, of course, goes down right now, but I have a screenshot up there for those of you guys watching at home, listening at home as a podcast. Ingebrigtsen, 3:27:95, American record. I mean, area European record, personal best, whatever. Katir, I mean, he crushes him. You beat him by, well, it's not even a full second, Robert. I mean, that's how convincing it was. 3:28:89. Nuguse gets the American record, 3:29:02. Cheruiyot right behind him. I mean, this is another great run by Nuguse. Gets the scalp. Shows, like I said he was the biggest threat to Ingebrigtsen today. That clearly wasn't the case, but definitely, there's no question. He's one of the top milers in the world, a medal fit. Cheruiyot, 3:29:08. I mean, everybody delivered in this race. Everybody.
You said Marino Garcia Romer only 0.16 behind Nuguse, 3:29:18. I said those guys would never beat Nuguse. I may have to take that back, but yeah, he didn't win by a second and a half. But see, Connor Sleuth in the chat says, how does he manage to put a whole second on a field like that in the last 150? It's just insane. So if you didn't watch it, it was rabbited absolutely perfectly. I mean, the final rabbit was just going all out to 1,000 meters. Perfecto job on the rabbiting. Was being rabbited at 3:29 pace. The green light was kind of catching up to them. They were ahead of that. But then this to me was wonderful. I did say on the regular podcast, I thought Ingebrigtsen should practice an unrabbited race because at Worlds he's going to have no one to lead. But here, it's reminding me of the last race. It seems like he's saving something for the last 150. Katir was right there with 200 to go. And then when it's all said and done, his last 150 is so good, he's winning comfortably and getting, a new personal best, new European record. So just an amazing race. I still, despite this race, think he could be vulnerable in a championship setting because he's not going to be having someone rabbit him at all. He's going to have to rabbit the whole thing. So here he only had to lead for 450 meters, 500 meters. At Worlds, he might have to do the whole thing. If I'm everyone else, I just sit on him. But Cheruiyot may want to make it fast or something like that. If I'm Cheruiyot, I would sit. I've got 143 speed. If I'm Cheruiyot, I think I've got better speed than Ingebrigtsen. I'm going to sit on him. But just an amazing 1,500 that was wonderful. Let's move to the 5,000.
Move. One more point on that race. Yeah, I agree, Robert. That's as easy as it can be to get beat. That's set up perfectly. He's got a rabbit on an aggressive pace. The World Championships is very differently. Just because you win this race doesn't mean you win the Worlds. The fittest guy won this race. We probably knew that Warholm was the fittest guy in the world in this event. So
Ingebrigtsen, not Warholm.
Ingebrigtsen. So what a race.
And correct, John Galton, I always like to say you need to be 2 to 3 seconds better than everyone else to win the unrabbited races for sure. But the good news is here, I mean, these other guys were single file behind him. Look how happy he is on the photos, people watching live. But you know, the disadvantage you have if you're trying to sit on Ingebrigtsen at the Worlds is you're going to be running extra ground. You're going to be losing energy in the pack. You're battling people. Here, everybody else, it's just basically a pure time trial. Like, this is as fast as everyone can finish. It's basically a blanket finish for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. If you're any of those guys, even Josh Kerr, you're still thinking you can medal. So that was just a wonderful race. But previously...
Robert, one more thing. I mean, look back here. This guy in yellow is the Norwegian dude coached by, in blue. He broke 330, Robert.
No,
I mean, Josh Kerr looks like also running this thing, and he's just a hair over 330. Mario Garcia Romo, what a run. I mean, wow. The On Athletics Club, look at those three guys right there. I mean, we knew those guys are delivering it. Also, in the comments, I heard there's an issue with my audio. Is it better now? And the other thing with Ingebrigtsen, he was so happy to win this. I mean, I guess it's the home meet and everything, but I was glad to just see the joy on his face.
Yeah. I was wondering if he was trying to downplay the world record talk or what, but I think he was pumped to get the personal best, pumped to get the win. Everybody was behind him, whatever. So let's move to the 5,000. It was earlier. It lived up to the hype. They were rabbiting into the world lead, which is like 12:52, and these guys were ahead of the pacing lights. And unfortunately, in the middle of it, we had to watch the women's discus. They come back, and like up front early on was Paul Chalimo, the American. He kind of starts to fall off. Grijalva was up there, but when they cut back, Grijalva's been dropped. I'm like, why has he been dropped? Didn't he say 12:52 felt good? And you found out why, because Jakob Ingebrigtsen, the world cross country champion, was just in his first track race of the year, was just hammering it. And I think he put a 2:30 fourth kilometer in there. And what was crazy was we're coming into like the final 800. There's three guys clear of the field. Bekele, it was Kaplimo, Yomit Kajelcha, and Bekele of Ethiopia. And then Yomit Kajelcha, the world indoor record holder of the mile, does what he always does. And I've never understood it. Can we get Alberto Salazar out of prison and help him? That's a joke, people. I know he's not technically in prison. And help him coach Kajelcha, because I've never understood why Kajelcha's got such good speed, but he's always the one shoving the pace down in the middle of the race. Like, if I'm him, I'm sitting on Kaplimo. I would have just sat. Now, maybe he's trying to get the time out there because the Ethiopians often select the 5,000 team on time, but it just shows you how much harder this guy is. If I was him, I would have sat on Kaplimo. Instead, he takes the pace with 800 to go and just is shoving it down, you know? And they just keep these 60-second laps going. And I thought I wrote down the splits somewhere. I'm trying to find them. Screw it. Anyway,
I got him here, Robert. The final mile for 1,600, 3:54. The final 2K is 2:54. I mean, excuse me, it's 4:54. I mean, this is crazy. Here's the final 5 laps of the race: 60.18, 60.09, 60.07. 58.42. So they're grinding out. They're grinding. You're like, okay, they're not going to be able to kick that well. They still drop a 55.75 off of that. And it's just a blanket finish. I mean, I think it was Parallax. I thought Kaplimo had him. I mean, I kept rewatching. I'm like, well, they got to say Kaplimo won. So props to Kajelcha. I mean, just that might be the greatest 5,000 meter race ever in my book. I mean, sure, there's championship races, but just in terms of all-out performance,
it was amazing. What's the weather in Oslo? Somebody in the comments get the temperature right now in Oslo. But like the announcers were saying, oh, you know, we'd like to see Kaplimo won because he did all the work. Well, we didn't see that because the women's discus was on. I was kind of, you know, good thing Jonathan Gull's not on the show. Journalists are not supposed to root. I was actually rooting for Kajelcha here because I'm like, this guy does all the work all the time in the middle of these races and makes them fast and loses. And I was like, Kaplimo got by him with like, I thought he maybe let up with like, probably not let up, but just didn't dive at the line. Kiplimo got by him, I thought for sure, with 5 meters to go. And then Kejelcha was pretty tall. He leans. I would love to see the actual photo. I don't know how they said Kejelcha won, but it was amazing. And when I was watching this race, I was thinking, well, this is the type of race that actually might be, I always say bad news for Grant Fisher, bad news for Ingebrigtsen, because the only way they're going to beat Ingebrigtsen in the 5,000 if they just push the pace. The problem is someone basically has to sacrifice themselves, or they have to have a set agreement, like I'll take a K, you take a K, you take a K. What they really should do is everyone nutmeg Ingebrigtsen should get in a hotel and they should sign a legal binding document the night before the race. And they said, at the start line, we will take a name out of a hat and you will take that kilometer. And you have to do it, or you put $50,000 in a bank the night before. And if you don't do it, because one time Zelensky and Tegenkamp, I forgot who it was, one of them didn't do what they were supposed to do, another one made the Olympic team. Nope, you do it or you lose 50K. Weldon's got the photo finish up on the edge. So it was amazing. They both ran 12:41. The closest race I could see that it was anything close to this was, I think, 1997 Zurich. Haile G won in 12:41, and then Daniel Coleman was second in 12:44. Here you had two guys running 12:41. Behind them, there were some interesting results. Joe Klecker nipped Grijalva 12. They both ran 12:56. And the interesting thing, though, is, again, a championship race is not the same as a rapid race. Paul Cheruiyot runs 13:06. He keeps reminding me a little bit of Clayton Murphy earlier in the year. He keeps saying big things. He runs the half marathon. It doesn't go well. Then he put up a pretty good result somewhere. I forgot where it was. Oh, the 10,000 meters. He does that pretty well. Doesn't do well in the 2 mile, but here he's running aggressive. He's up front. He seems into it. 13:06 is not great, certainly. But in terms of making the U.S. team, I still might put him over Klecker, because who's going to push the pace at USA's to really make it a hard race where Klecker can drop Cholimo. So, but in terms of actual worlds, if you watch the men's 5,000, I think the bad news for Paul Cholimo is these guys, I assume, are not going to be dumb. They're going to try to make it fast at Worlds because they're going to be afraid of Ingebrigtsen. But maybe they just hand the gold to Ingebrigtsen, and then that would play into Cholimo's hands, because all these guys will want to kick it out for second and third, because there's so little separating. I mean, we saw it in the 1,500 separating these guys, that it's just, if you do the work, you're probably not going to medal.
I mean, everybody, all the stars now are just bringing it. This was such the race. And when they were right on the lights, I was like, they're going to crush the world lead, because I figured they would kick. And then they were pushing, and I'm like, well, maybe they're not going to really, really kick, 58 the last lap, 55 last lap on that. It shows what I said about the race. Was it in Florence where they ran 12:52? Or no, Rabat, whatever it was. I said that's the old 13-minute race, and this proves it. This here, 12:40s, lows, that's the fast race these days. Everyone, at 12:50 is nothing anymore. Nothing. The ball game has shifted for sure. And everyone's talking about how the height of Kejelcha helped him. I still can't believe he won it. He looks like he's going twice as slow as Kiplimo. I mean, the height difference on these two dudes, the final 100, was amazing. I mean, 4:54, people were saying, is that the fastest 2K ever? I think it has to be. I mean, maybe some slow race, obviously you would go faster, but usually you're not kicking from 2K out, right? Like usually a slow race, they might kick the final mile, or I don't see how you go faster. Anyone's gone faster than 4:54. Now, clearly they did tonight. If two guys did tonight, not championship form, maybe we'll see this in the future, but what an unbelievable race. And I guess we should go to the mile real quickly, Robert. Women's Dream Mile. And Robert, I didn't realize how good of times these were for Corey McGee and Nikki Hiltz, but Berke Heilum, the world under 20 champion, officially only 17 years old. I don't care if you want to say her age isn't perfectly accurate, but she's a star. I don't know. You're 8 seconds behind Kipyegon, but what a win here. I mean, just totally amazing. Not amazing. She had the second fastest field time coming in, but she got put out all alone after the rabbit dropped out 800 in. And the final lap to go, Hull was breathing down her neck, and then McGee, Hiltz made a late charge. They couldn't catch her. But I don't have any like sort of conversion charts here, but like these times from McGee 4:18:11, that's got to be a sub 3:58. That's a really good run for her. Jess Hull, that's a national record. Nikki Hiltz, I was thinking in this race, she's been running very well. And I was like, oh, she's not on the pace. Excuse me, she's she's non-binary, uses they pronouns. Nikki wasn't on the pace. I'm like, this is a bit disappointing. And no, it wasn't. 4:18:38, 3-second PB. I guess we haven't talked about anything disappointing today. Josette Andrews has been the one member in the on group outdoors who's been disappointing. Way back here in 10th place, 4:21:98. But I guess Robert I think he's gone. I really don't want to do this show by myself. Maybe we'll come back tonight. Put some comments in here. Maybe we'll react to some comments. I'll run through a couple of events here. Put some stuff in the chat. I'll sort of react for that about 5 or 10 minutes. I think we might need the crew to get back together to really break this down. This is just meant to be a total flash Oslo work. We'll do 20 minutes, and if something crazy happens, we'll come back. Well, something crazy happened in these races. These were unbelievable. Like, all in all, obviously the Paris meet with 3 world records was better, but I haven't seen a better 5,000 meter race than that. And this is the deepest 1,500 meter ever. So it's hard to argue with it. Karsten Warholm, Diamond League record, 400 meter hurdles. Like, this stuff is crazy. I'm just trying to look here at the events. Put some stuff in the chat. Maybe we'll talk about some of this other stuff. If there's any other distance stuff I missed. Oh yeah, Femke Bol. Oh, 52:30. That's her 3rd world leader on the year. I mean, how are we evaluating Femke Bol? If you evaluate her versus the rest of the world, amazing. If you're evaluating on the Sydney, what is it, 50.86 standard? Oh, she's got a long way to go, but that's only been done once. She's got a long way to go. I mean, not Sydney's hasn't done any hurdles, and she may not even run the hurdles, but I'm just saying, like, Sydney's really only done that once. 52.3, that's a really damn good time. So great. Looks like I somehow dropped out of my own show. Not sure what's going on. Sorry about that. I don't know when you guys last heard me, but I'm going to get Intern Alex on here. We'll talk about it a little bit for 10 minutes, and then we'll try to get the crew back for everything. But I was saying, I assume you guys didn't hear this part, like Femke Bol, are we evaluating her on the Sydney standard or the rest of the world standard? Because versus the rest of the world, she's just killing it. I mean, no one else under 53 seconds this year. And if we're going off 50.8, the Sydney standard, okay, well, she's got a second and a half to go, but that's an unfair standard to put anybody in. Sydney hasn't run any hurdles. Is Sydney going to run the 400 flat? So there's a lot of question marks about this event. Just all along, this meet was so good today. Make sure I don't click out of this thing again. Sorry about that, everybody. Just running through some of these events. The 3,000 women. Okay, fine. That was just a normal Diamond League 3K. Nothing crazy happened in that. That's what we expected a little bit more from this meet. 100 meters, Toulouse, 10.75. What is up with Cheruiyot Jackson is more my big question mark. But, you generally know the Jamaicans are going to bring it at the World Championships. Toulouse, can she perform at this level there? And there's obviously the big question marks about Sha'Carri at a major championship. It's like, it's been so hit or miss. I mean, she's won the USAs, she's won the NCAs, but people love to point out, she hasn't done it at the Worlds. But a lot of it, she's never had the opportunity really at the Worlds. So, I mean, the 100 is going to be interesting. Just track and field, the performances right now are absolutely astounding. maybe shoes and technology are making the times faster, so we appreciate them more. But just tonight also had what I thought made tonight really truly special was the head-to-head competition. It wasn't just Jakob time trial. He could have easily set this up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to have a rabbit, go the old Mo Farah British route, which I hated and I claimed wasn't good for the sport. Maybe it made people in the stands in Birmingham happy, but it didn't make anyone else happy. And Jakob showed how to do it. You bring the best and you beat them in your home turf. Everyone as a sports fan can relate to that. So this is how you do it. That 5,000 meters head to head to the wire. There's never been oh my God, I still can't get over that race. All in the Game does point out Toulouse has 2 silvers from 2017. That is true. But I mean, that's what ancient history, right? That's 6 years ago. I'm sort of shocked actually when you say that she's at this level. But I mean, obviously, like a Cheruiyot has always been performing for so long at this level, but it's rare to keep it going at this level. Stalling for time here to see if Intern Alex is going to join us. But looks like some people missed this meet. Well, if you missed this meet, I'm sorry. And other people are pointing out here in the chat, where is Cheruiyot Fraser-Pryce? You know, he needs to step up, start having some big time performances. She's got the kids and that sort of stuff, so she can't compete, quite as often as she once was. She pulled out of, I think, the Botswana meet and the Kip Keino, but yeah, so she hasn't run at all. She's supposed to run both those meets and didn't do either. So if I'm going to be worried about a thing, Mo, I should really be way more worried about Cheruiyot, because if anyone could trot out at Worlds for their first race and give it a go, it would be Cheruiyot Fraser-Pryce. But looks like we got Intern Alex. We will keep going here. Alex, you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Weldon. How are you doing?
Good to be here. Good. What? Okay. I mean, you're a young kid. You're fairly new to following this stuff. What did you think of this race, of this meet?
I don't know. It was amazing. It was amazing from, start to finish, I guess. Like, every sprints, distance, everything. I mean, as a distance runner, as a distance fan, more than anything, I think it was amazing. Men's, women's mile, 5,000. It's pretty great.
What was the highlight for you? There's only 2 options in my
I don't know. I guess the 5,000, just because of the, I don't know. The 5,000 is pretty crazy. I mean, sometimes I feel like over the last, I don't know how long, like, pretty dominant. I feel like Ingebrigtsen has been pretty dominant. The 5,000 is like, I don't know. I haven't seen something like that in a while.
Yeah, I mean, both those races were just absolutely legendary. The thing that impressed me most about the 5,000 was, they have the lights, and I think that makes a huge difference. But they did it on their own. From 2K, Paul Cheruiyot was leading at 2K, and I'm like, wow, Paul looks pretty good. And then they kind of went ahead. I'm like, oh, he's dropping back a little bit. And then you notice Grijalva's getting dropped. And then they were still on the lights. And I'm like, and that's when I realized, 12:52 pace is very different from, how you're feeling in the middle of that race than when you're on like 12:58 or 13-minute pace. And then that's what those guys did in that other race, and they kicked off of it. Here, the burn at 12:52, it was just too much for those guys, for Klecker, Grijalva. They fall off. But Kiplimo, oh my God, the guy's range is so unbelievable. He's run such a good 3K. He's the best half marathoner in the world. He's a world cross country champion. I still feel like he won this race. Like, still looking at that photo, it's crazy to me, but there's a little parallax. Like, if you look, like, the way the line goes, the guy who's back, it's at a slight angle. So, and Kajelcha, he's back. There's been a little drop off in performance. I don't think we've ever really seen him on at a Worlds or Olympics be at his best. And maybe this is the year that happens. But I guess the well. We've seen him run really well before,
Yeah,
right?
fast times.
But yeah, the problem for him is it's June 15th and the Worlds are, I think, like August 15th. So there's still a ways to go for that. But I mean, you're a mid-distance guy. This men's 1500 meters. Let's go back to that real quickly.
Sure.
I mean, Josh Kerr gets 9th place and he runs almost 3:30 flat.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
I mean, I saw it on social media. CJ Albertson, American marathoner, posted the results of the results page, and he was just like, "This is the race that now shows that 3:30 is now not the fast time to run in the world. Like it's like you have to be like a 3:28 guy to be like considered extremely fast."
I mean, it's sort of crazy. I guess 2 seconds is a lot in 1500 because Jakob's only 2 seconds ahead of these guys. But I think this one shows. Robert was saying on the regular podcast on Tuesday, why aren't we seeing such faster times? Well, we just saw an 8th place run under 3:30. So I think it is raising the bar. It used to be a lot of guys would run 3:31, 3:32. So maybe at this level, it's not 3 seconds. Maybe it's 2 seconds, 1 second. But you notice it in a race like this. I mean, you used to see the days, like Manzano and Centro would run, low 3:30 and finish 6th or something like that. I think this is that type of race. And I guess I love to complain about the shoes and that sort of stuff. But when everyone's sort of delivering and you're getting great competition, I just love tonight.
Something that was surprising, I mean, this was after the race, but you mentioned it earlier, like the emotion that Jakob showed after the race and like celebrating and like engaging the crowd. I feel like I've never seen him I feel like he was kind of relieved. Like he was so, I feel like he showed more emotion tonight than he did after getting the 2 mile world record, world best.
Yeah, Tokyo Olympics was bizarre because nobody was there, but this is the most excited I've ever seen him. Like, was he worried about losing this race? Or does he, he said the Oslo track isn't that fast. Did he not think he could run this fast? I mean, it was PB, home crowd, that sort of stuff. So maybe just to do it all at home, not maybe necessarily the fastest track is amazing, but I mean, the other Norwegian dude, I don't even know the guy's name.
Yeah.
I guess I need to learn how to announce it. Narve Nordas.
Yeah.
Just the PBs behind this thing are just crazy. I mean, I guess the only guy in the top Cheruiyot obviously didn't PB in 4th.
And Katir didn't PB either.
Katir didn't PB. He was close.
By 0.1, yeah.
And then Josh Kerr, I mean, man, he ran well at the Olympics. 3:29.05 is his PB. But this was a really good run for Josh Kerr. Josh is known, he's a big meet performer. For him to run this 2 months out of the Olympics, I was very impressed. I mean,
I'm sure he'll be happy.
Up here.
I'm sure he'll be happy with his performance.
And that's the beauty of the 1500. I mean, man, like Mario Garcia Romo, I was like, oh, this guy will never be close to Robert was saying he'll never be close to Nuguse. Well, he's 0.16 behind. This guy somehow, he knows how to. He may not be the same. Nuguse is showing a high level every single race out. Garcia Romo showed this last year. There was the NCAA level, and then there's a whole nother level above that he went to at Worlds. Some guys just are consistent at one level, and some guys have a peak level that is much higher than that. I think that's what we're seeing. What a run. I mean, oh, wow. Neil Gorley, he was running great indoors, getting some attention.
Over 2 second PB. Previous PB
2 second PB.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. I need to put this screen up there. Sorry, I thought I had the screen up there. 2 second PB. I mean, that's crazy. And he gets, what place is this? He gets 10th place in 3:30.88. Wow. Man. Just I thought nothing was going to beat the 5,000, and this race possibly did it. Good point here by Mike P in the comments. I think a couple weeks ago the headline was about Jakob not improving. Well, now he has a 2-mile world record. He just PB'd at 1,500 meters. Did it great. Rojo here in the comments. Rojo says, I was recording the pod in the car with the AC turned off so you wouldn't hear it. Then the iPhone shut down because it got too hot. Come on, Apple, be better. Oh my God. Maybe it's good, as I was worried I was going to pass out. All right, so it's best probably that Rojo is no longer with us on this podcast. But, it's sort of crazy. I mean, this is the Diamond League level. Yared Nuguse gets another win. Undefeated at 200 this year. And I view his outdoor season as a disappointment. Solely because he opened in 1949 last year, but that's not fair. He's doing it the right way this year. Run 19.7s now and see where you are in August. Last year he ran 19.4 and never got there again. So
exactly.
Lyle showed you can be, for all of these guys, especially the 1,500, where I think, a guy who's in like 9th place could win the gold medal, essentially. Like if you told me Josh Kerr won Worlds, I would be surprised, but wouldn't be shocked. He's got the talent to do it. It's like Drew Hunter. He won the New York 5K a couple years. He's like, oh, ask me what's going on in June. Well, nothing went on for June, and we barely talked about the guy since. It's June 15th. At the end of the year, if Jakob's not ready at Worlds, we'll say, oh my God, he's burning it too hot too early. So, but we've had just such an amazing early Diamond League season. I feel like usually in June you don't get these performances. I feel like usually it's some of the later meets like Monaco and whatnot. But
I mean, why do you think that all these like stars are racing each other so often so early? I feel like there's a big push from World Athletics to like the whole point system thing, but I feel like it's later in the in like the qualifying window. Like people don't really need to be racing that much. I feel like they're solidified.
Rojo's back.
Let me say a few things, guys. First of all, Yared Nuguse, I heard you just talking about him. What is a 19.7 in Oslo if you ran it in Austin, Texas? That might be a 19.5. Like, do we suddenly think the NCAA sprinters are way better than everyone else in the world? I don't. When it's really hot and humid, John Kellogg always says moist air has less density than regular air. Like, I think Knighton's in really good shape. Like, Oslo weather is not ideal for sprinting, so I'm impressed by him. Jakob Ingebrigtsen, it was a great comment. Remember the thread? What was it? The thing no one's talking about? He's not improving. Guess what? He is improving. So, congratulations on the PB there.
Robert, do you have air conditioning now? How are you doing?
I do have air conditioning. I only had about 2 more minutes left anyways. Can y'all hear the air conditioning now? I turned it on. My son's in the car. But he had a swim lesson that ended at 3:20, so I had to go pick him up, or 4:20, whatever time it is. But what a meet. I mean, every meet is just so entertaining. Like, they're just great. I missed the Warholm race, I guess, driving around. I didn't see that. He looked good?
He looked fantastic, yeah.
Who'd you say, Robert?
So someone was saying it was 29 degrees Celsius at the start, but then it was in the 70s. The temperature dropped that quickly?
I heard 74 degrees. People are debating whether Ollie Hoare, let me pull up his time today. $3:29.41, 7th place. They're like, would you rather be like 3:31 and a bronze medal or this? I mean, it's different races. Obviously, you want to finish as high in the field as possible. But these guys, when they go to their graves, when you go to your grave, well, you go with nothing, and it probably doesn't matter. But people remember your PBs and the medals around your neck. So unless you're in the top 3, or you got a medal, or a really good PB, it doesn't matter. So tonight he gets the PB, the Australian record. So good for him. People are already talking about it. What would Cole Hawker have done in this race? There's a lot still to get excited about if you're an American, because you got Cole Hawker, you got Hobbs Kessler. It'll be interesting to see also Nuguse when he goes into USA's. Being the heavy favorite, it's just different, you know? Also, racing off a slower pace will be different for him. I don't anticipate any sort of Steve Holman situation. Actually, Alex, this will be a great question for you. Have you ever heard of Steve Holman?
I've not, no.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wow. I figured you wouldn't have. This shows.
Back in the 1990s,
Steve Holman was
back in the 1990s, there was like 3 people worth paying attention on the men's side. There was a guy named Bob Kennedy who ran 12:58 and had the lead in the Olympics with about 600 meters to go. There was Todd Williams, who was just a badass, who would race Kennedy often and was top 10 at World Cross Country when everybody showed up. And then there was Steve Holman in the 1500. He would go over to Europe and run 350 in the mile every year, 331, 332, and that meant something. And then he would show up at USA's and somehow inexplicably be unable to make the US team. He would always fail to make the US team. I think he made 1 or 2 teams. But Walden, when you were talking about Nuguse, because I'm so worried about Ingebrigtsen winning the gold in the 15 without the 800 speed, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, is there a scenario where I could see Nuguse not making the US team? And yes, there is. It's the 1500. That's what makes this stuff so fascinating. That's why I think these countries that are, the buy and all this stuff, it's just insanity. We don't care. I think it's great if somebody doesn't make the team. It makes that race dramatic. It gives us another race that means something, that cares. But, I think that the problem with Holman was he didn't have the great endurance that he needed. Nuguse has amazing endurance. He should be fine in the race. But, if you try to play a super safe race, he's not that much better than Katir. And Hawker at his best is just as good, I think. Was better in college, to be honest. So who else do we have? Somebody else? I'm trying to think. Oh, Kessler. Right there.
Robert, good. Lisa Bade is in the comments. She said you look sexy tonight. She's back. I guess I say PB a lot. I didn't know that. We have a new drinking game. Every time I say PB, Robert should have to chug an IPA. That would make it more interesting. Robert, I want you to give me Steve Holman's PBs. Mile and 1500. Let's go.
Well, he definitely ran a 350. Might have run 348. I'm going to say 348 and 331.
Wow, pretty close. The first one, 350.40 and 331. And back in the day, Alex, that was like 2 seconds faster than anybody else in America. But still, people are asking me if I'm going to PB. Jonathan Galt is saying this is not the American record. I was looking about that. It says AR, John. What is? Thank you, John. Okay, I take this back. Damn it. I knew I'd make some major mistake on this show. I think I said American record, but I didn't really want to stress it because...
That was also confusing because World Athletics has it as 329.3 by Legat, but then other places have it at 327 by Legat.
What year was the Legat? John's texting me. Legat ran a couple. We'll pull up the 327. One, there's a question of.
No, it's bogus though. Didn't Legat run that time as an American citizen, but he wasn't running for the U.S. at the time?
No, I don't think that counts because I think. Like Luis Groyalva's times don't count as American records if he was going to beat the time.
Luis Groyalva was not an American.
Oh, well, good point.
So if Legat ran it, there may have been some time, like, remember what as recently as like a year or two ago, they were listing USATF was listing Mondo Duplantis' marks as American records. I mean, it's insanity. The reality is, well, whatever. People are going to get mad and call it racist, but I mean, Legat ran in the Olympics for Kenya as a U.S. citizen and then switched over to America. So, it, I don't know, man. He better have been. I'm going by what World Athletics was recognizing at the time. If he didn't show up in the start line as an American, I'm not backdating it to an American record. So I don't know what the details are on that. So
I'm now trying to pull this up because this has come up before.
Right now, World Athletics has it as 329.3 Bernard Lagat on August 28th, 2005 as a US record. But it's
whatever, it doesn't matter. It was a damn good run.
See, this is the problem though, like with our sport, it should just be clear the databases need to be up to date. Oh, it's a 2-mile world best, or it's a world record, or some obscure thing. He wasn't a citizen, or he was. I mean, obviously you need to be a citizen, but like, oh, he was a citizen but not representing the country. This sort of stuff. Okay, this is good. I think it's probably Harry Prever said they changed the rules around 2019. So Lagat ran a time. He was not eligible. He was not representing the U.S. at the time. He must have been an American citizen at the time. So under the official rule, it was an American record at the time. Now it would not be the American record. The new rule says you have to be eligible to represent the U.S. He wasn't eligible to represent the U.S. We'll have to have we need like a Supreme Court of running. Have this go there. Actually, the Supreme Court used to settle things. Now it's just viewed as controversial.
So I think my friend Tyson wants to know if Holman runs right now, does he run 328? I think he might even run, well, if he runs faster, then it means he'd be Ingebrigtsen. So no, I think he could pull that off. One, I think his coaching would be better. I'm not saying Gags was a bad coach, but I think coaching has gotten better in the last 25 years. The shoes have certainly got better. The pacing. Of course, you don't have full throttle EPO pacing you to the marks as easily. Blasting the wind. So here's the question I have. If you're one of these guys that are diamond dozen in the 5 and in the 15, do you run for gold or do you just run your own race in a race that would make Prefontaine unhappy and cowardly try to get the bronze, and then you might win it? I mean, remember, Maya Ramsdale won NCAA, so don't go for crazy and then maybe you pick people off.
I don't know. I mean, pick people off, Rob. There's too many good guys. There was 9th place today under 330. So I don't see how that works, really. I think sometimes there's something to be said. You don't run for gold, but where are you going to hide in this type of these fields this year? Like you're going to hide in 8th place versus 5th place. You better be in 5th place when they kick, unless your kick's a lot better than everybody else. Because, I mean, all of these guys showed it today. There's a tremendous amount of like parity behind Ingebrigtsen. And then the question is, the one question we've always had is, to front run a 1500 meter, how much better do you have to be than everybody else? And is he that good? So that's the big question. This Lagat thing, we got to get to the bottom of, Alex. This sort of makes me mad. Like, what did you say the time they're giving him credit for, Alex? 3:27:40?
I don't know that the 327 is I don't know what it is, because when you look it up, it says his PB. They're giving him, World Athletics is giving him credit. World Athletics, I don't know who's right, but World Athletics is giving him credit for 329.3 as an American.
Right, but where are we seeing this 327? Okay, here it is. I found it linked in Canadian running. The Canadian American's 327.4 from a meet in Zurich has just become the American record in 1500s. No, I'm sorry. That's not the American record. He was not representing America at the time. We don't go retroactively change the rules. I'm sorry. That's not the American record. He was hiding the fact he was American then so he could run in the Olympics. No, I'm sorry. That's not the record. If you're not acknowledging, it's the fastest time by an American citizen, but no, that's not the American record. This was an American record. That's how the rules work. I don't know. No. And apparently World Athletics now agrees. I don't know. Usually I'm a stickler for like precedents and following the letter of the law, but when you're hiding the fact you're an American so you can still compete, you shouldn't get credit for that. But here's a comment. If it's officially 327, no one competing today is ever going to get that record. I'm not sure I agree with that. Like what? Well, it's 327.4, so that's pretty. Damn, that's fast though. Yeah, maybe they're right actually. Because Jakob only ran 327.9 today. Because I'm like, well, maybe Yared could get there or something, but like at the same time, I don't know. Robert, you're making background noise, so I'll unmute you when you want to speak.
Is this Jonathan Galt in the comments? JGT11.
Let me speak now. I think one reason why Ingebrigtsen was so happy. Think about it. If he doesn't win this race on home soil, perfectly rabbited, he's probably done for in the 1500. How is he going to win worlds when it's not rabbited, not at home, and he just is in world record shape? So this was big for him. Like, that's his baby. That's what he loves. He's really a the old thing. Everyone wants to be a 300 guy and they get moved up to the 5,000. He's kind of that guy. He's really a 5,000 guy, but he happened to win Olympic gold in 1,500. He wants to stay in it. So crazy. All right, I'm gone again.
Okay, we figured this out. World Athletics. This is an area record. It's the fastest by their rules because they never recognize these rules. So it's an AR means area record,
not national record.
Not national record. And now usually it's understood that an AR is a national record. Like Ollie Hoare says AR, meaning area record and national record, but it doesn't say NR. So this technically could be the area record, but not the national record. Anyway, we've just wasted. This is like the technical bullshit of the sport. The average fan doesn't give a shit. Like, this was a great, amazing run by Yared Nuguse. I think he's shown on every time out this year. He's shown he's at this level. I guess now I think his performance tonight, I think, is indicative of where I'd rank him in the world right now. I think he's the number 3 miler in the world. Probably before tonight, I had him number 2. I think Katir gets that credit. But having said that, is Katir going to run the 1,500 at Worlds? A slow race. I think this guy has a lot more trouble. I think Nuguse has more trouble. So Robert was saying, oh, if Jakob wins this race, he can't win the Worlds. I don't know. You could argue the other thing. He wins this race, so we think it's going to be like this. I'll just be fitter than them and run away from them. There's a huge difference at the Worlds. There's no rabbit. So you could easily argue if he lost this race, it would make him go back to the drawing board and really strategize, like, how am I going to drop these guys in an unrabbited race? The question still remains. I think it's a really good one. It's a really interesting thing to talk about. And like, as impressive as this performance was, let's see, 2 seconds. I can't believe this Narve Nordis guy was 1.52 seconds. There were 8 guys within 1.5 seconds of him. So 1,001, boom.
His PB was bigger than Gordley's PB. He had a PB of 2.5 seconds, or almost 3 seconds.
Yeah, but even more impressive, this guy was like a 10K runner till this year. I'm going to look at this guy's 1,500 meter progression. This is the most crazy thing of all time. Okay. In 2020, his PB was 339. He ran 336 last year. Now he's a 329 guy.
Sponsored by Hoka.
Hoka, great job. Clearly, you guys figured out the shoes, man. Hoka's like, I mean, Hoka's like, they're killing it. So, but there is the whole angle. This Nordas guy, he's coached by Jakob Ingebrigtsen's dad. That story has never been told. We don't know the story of why they really parted ways. But I mean, with this improvement, like, this is crazy. What if this guy's challenging Jakob? I mean, there is no way. I'm already ruling it out. There is no way this guy beats Jakob this year. If this happens, coached by the dad, it's like some fake like soap opera story you can't even make up that wouldn't even be true. So
what Robert was saying on the podcast earlier this week. It's like Game of Thrones. Son leaves his father. Father takes someone from the same neighborhood, tries to make him better than the sons. I wish someone got Gert Ingebrigtsen's reaction to the race, like his comments and stuff. That'd be interesting to hear.
Yeah. Well, we can look at the virtual mix zone from Oslo.
I don't think it was working.
That's a good question. Does Nuguse get paid an American record bonus? We will let the contracts settle this. That's what we need to do. Actually, no, they won't. It's probably written in there. Generally, the contracts are probably written in the company's advantage. Man, this is like Star Wars. My true son has risen, Kurt says. Norwegian TV is going crazy right now with this story. Hey, Norwegians, we need to know. Email us at podcast@letsrun.com. Which only one story can get front billing on the news there or whatever. Which is getting first, Warholm or Ingebrigtsen? I've always said this. It's like one of the more popular. They're sort of, it's like, Borg and McEnroe. They're both sort of the same. I don't know, Federer and Nadal, like, or is one guy slightly more popular? More popular than the other. We'd love to know.
I forgot how much I loved watching Karsten Warholm race. Like, I feel like I haven't seen him race in a while because he was injured, and he was in the spotlight last year because he was injured. Like, before the race, he gets all like hyped up, and it's amazing. And he just goes out so hard. He always makes up the stagger. He always starts on the outside lane, but always makes up the stagger on the guys to the right of him. I love to watch him race.
Yeah, I mean, like, and also I'm always amazed. This is his first damn race of the year. I mean, outdoors, but first hurdle race. He hasn't raced since March 4th, and he just comes out in 46:52. I mean, that's crazy. And last year trying to come off the injury. Well, he was going to run in Rabat, got injured in that race, and then tried to come back from Worlds and got 7th. So he never ran faster than 47:12. The year before, I'm gonna see what he opened up at 46:70. So, man, in Oslo. So he's done it before, but not this fast. And like you said, he runs with just like raw aggression. And maybe that's a good place to end it. The country of Norway deserves a ton of credit. Official population of Norway.
Thank you, WZ. Intern's doing a good job.
Alex, you are doing really well today. Thank you. We've got a preview up of the high school nationals written by Alex. John's double threshold article is up. It's amazing. It if you guys really want to read something super informative, it traces the history of double threshold training, which is what Jakob Ingebrigtsen does. Traces it sort of back to Marius Bakken, this Norwegian guy who has connections to York High School. It's a great read, but you got to be a Supporters Club member to read it until the weekend. Go to letsrun.com/subscribe. You can get this show right now as a podcast. You'll get 2 podcasts as a week as your feed. Otherwise, you only get 1 podcast a week. You can save on running shoes. You get a free t-shirt if you join for your. I think this is the most signups we've ever had in a week. Is this week? Because we had all these NCAA shows. We had John's article out. So thank you for everyone who signed up. Sorry for the audio issues. And Alex, I'm glad you came on because this one did not deserve a 15-minute show. But Norway has 5.4 million people. And they dominate the Winter Olympics. They're the best country in the Winter Olympics. And now they're doing it in outdoor Olympics too?
What else they dominate is the triathlon scene. I don't know if any triathlon fans in the comments. Two of the best triathletes, Gustav Iden and Christian Blumenfeld. Christian Blumenfeld's the reigning Olympic triathlon world champion. Reigning Olympic champion in the triathlon. Gustav Eden's, I don't know, they're both dominating Ironmans, half Ironmans. Something's up in Norway with their endurance athletes, and I don't know, it's crazy.
I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, they're like a 1/50th of the size of the United States. One final thing here. People want to talk about Corey McGee. I mean, fabulous run by her. This is maybe
third fastest.
Third fastest mile ever by an American?
By a U.S. woman, yeah.
So her outdoor season, after she came on the Let's Run podcast, we jinxed her. She ran 4:06. That was May 5th in Qatar. And she's doing every Diamond League meet, which I like to see. And she's not getting depressed. 10th place. 4:03 in Rabat. 5th place. Goes to Rome. Runs faster, but worse. 4:01. 45. 8th place. And today, 4:18.11. 2nd place. And that's a sub-4 equivalent. Great running. Heather McLean's nowhere to be seen. Nikki Hiltz is running great. So I think right now, those two are the second, and Hiltz finished 4th today. That's your top 2 for the U.S. right now for the team. But it's good to see McGee stepping up, Hiltz stepping up, because I thought without Ellie Perrier, I thought McLean was there to sort of, before that we had Shelby. I want someone contending. I mean, the medals might be really out of the equation, but I want someone running like closer to 3:55. And I think that's still a stretch for them, but not completely out of the question.
Who else? All
right, everybody. Go ahead.
I was going to say, who else other than these 3 women in the race today, I think, is up there to make the U.S. team. I know Andrews finished like further down the field. I mean, she still PB'd, but it was a mile, not the 1500. Yeah.
I would have expected Josephine Andrews to be one of those people, and she's not right now. But who knows? Maybe we'll have an emergency podcast over the week. If not, we'll see everybody Tuesday. Get a little break here if we go to Tuesday. It'll be 4 days to recover. But Alex, thank you. Robert, thank you. Check out the written recaps. Might be a few hours for those get up. Robert's currently gone. I got to go take over for my nanny. But we want to get the show out for everyone. Appreciate it. Until Tuesday. And let'srun.com/subscribe. Oh, wait. Use code GOAT50. You save 50%. WZ wants a homeless discount. WZ, email me at podcast@letsrun.com. Tell me how much you pay. You have to be WZ. Prove your WZ. Whatever you want to pay, I will give you a Supporters Club membership for that for a year. There you go. All right. Till next time.